Who are you? Who are you? And whose are you? Today we're going to talk about who are you? So when I was growing up and in school, here's what I learned. I learned about Abraham Lincoln. I learned about George Washington. I learned history. I learned math. I learned social studies. I learned spelling. If I didn't know how to spell, I couldn't read. And if I couldn't read, I couldn't, learn. And I know that we have a lot of people out there too that can't read or write. And so I empathize so greatly with you. But you can learn how to do those things, right? Oh my gosh, you guys have forgot to shut this Clubhouse thing off. It's going to be up in here all day. Ugh. Anyway, I was listening to a mentor this week and he talked about who are you? And I absolutely loved it because we have, I hear so many people and so many mentors talk about, our limiting old beliefs. And yes, I've been going through them. We spend our whole life sucking in all these beliefs about what other people say. And then we spend the whole rest of our adult lifehood unsucking those beliefs. That's how I feel anyway. Not all of them, but a great deal of them. And we can learn from those beliefs. We can learn what we do like and what we don't like about them. We can use them or we don't have to use them. So if you have a belief so strong, and I've seen this happen over and over again, even in my own life, that whatever your belief is and you have a conversation about it, it turns into an argument, is not a belief that you want to engage in. Because I can promise you that the beliefs that either one of you have, you're not changing it until you decide you want to change it. There is no convincing otherwise. So great example, when I had shared with my girlfriend that I really felt that she had breast implant illness, and she absolutely thought I was nuts, and she didn't want to know anything about it. And then finally she was so sick and tired of feeling sick and tired that she finally said, "Hey Shelly, can you put me in that group you were talking about so that I can learn more about that?" And once I got in there, or put her in there, she realized that when I got in that group 3 years ago, there was 60,000 people. Now there's over women, not even gonna say people, women. And now there's over 130,000 women in this group that are either explanting or they're in there checking it out to find out if explantation is right for them, if breast implants are even right for them. And so I was able to just give my friend facts. I was able to put in a group, and she was open enough, and she had to make that decision. So then she finally decided that she was open enough to learn more. And that's when she realized that she too had breast implant illness. And now she has explanted the week before me in January. She's doing extremely well. We both still have some health challenges because we're detoxing. It'll take a while to detox from these bags, but I can promise you I'm happy being with the with the little itty bitties, and I'm just happy that I got my memory back is one of the biggest things. I still have moments I have a little bit of brain fog, and then I'm like, oh no, but I realized that I can just give it a minute or two, and then things will settle down, and I'm good to go. So I'm really happy that I was able to do that for her. So you have to decide for yourself how open or closed you are to wanting to learn more about what other people have to say. So that is one of the biggest things too that I learned growing up, or not growing up, is in this, when I became self-aware and am very heavily involved in, self-awareness and self-love and self-improvement, all these different things, whatever you want to call it for yourself, is that we did grow up learning all these things. And when we go to school, we're told all these different things. We're molded and shaped. It could have been something your teacher said. It could have been something, a friend of yours said. It could have been, something on TV that was said. I remember watching the movie The Devil Wears Prada. After I watched that movie, I literally quit a job that I was working at. I walked right out the door. I was like, I am not dealing with this. And so it just really is going to depend on how open or closed you are to your future. And even into this day, we know that we're all adults, so we know that we can make decisions on how to change things. And I'm here to say, though, again, those beliefs can really hold us back. So for 10 years, after my son died, my husband left, all these different things. It's taken me 10 years to realize that even my past was keeping me from moving forward. And I didn't even realize it until I had talked to Frank Lopes a few months ago when I was getting ready to do an interview with Glenn Lundy in the hashtag Rise and Grind group. It's my favorite group to be in. I absolutely love these guys. Glenn started it, and it definitely is about, I had a friend that think it was about coffee, which is great because we do that too, right? I have coffee in my Rise and Grind mug. So it is definitely a little bit about that. But Rise and Grind is the cross, and it's about whatever your faith is in that group. And it's absolutely spectacular. And so this group has really brought about a new awareness about new things. And so this week I was being mentored again by a couple people in that group. And we're talking about who am I, right? And you can say to yourself, well, I know who I am. And I can say the same thing. I know who I am too. I mean, I'm old enough. I'm still learning. I still pick up the books. I still listen to the mentors. And you got to just feed your brain every day with something positive and find someone that Google, if you don't know, like I've asked, in fact, a few times this week at my new job, I've asked like a couple people, well, have you heard of Grant Cardone? Because they're in real estate. So Grant Cardone would be the go-to guy. I mean, he's a zillionaire, right? Well, okay, well, he's not a zillionaire, but he's a billionaire. And he offers up free classes. And these guys are like, who's that? And then I said, you know what? I can offer up the 10X rule book that Grant has, right? So it's just to plug in to get different information from different people. So you're not getting the same information from the same person. And who knows, maybe this person too didn't know something that you really require to know. So what I'm saying to you is be limitless. Don't limit yourself to just one person, one thing, but don't put yourself out there in so many different directions either that you get confused, because I've done that myself too. So, and that's even worse, because then I get stuck in this cycle of perfectionism, and perfectionism is really a form of fear, and fear can really hold you back too. So there's that. I know. You just got to find your happy medium. During the course of all of this, listening and talking with Frank, and Frank has a book called The 7-Minute Setup. And this book is a really short read, but it's very, very impactful. And it has really, really assisted me in the last few months on the trajectory of where I want to go. And this leads to a lot of these new giving greater information in these lives on Saturday morning with It's Shelly Jean. And I want to thank you so much for being here. I'd love for you to pop in below and let me know where you're coming from. And know if you're receiving any value from any of these, shared out. I would love to have you do that. And we're going to have a drink to Bulletproof coffee this morning. I drink one every single day. It's coffee, it's ghee butter, and I do put a little bit of flavoring in there, and apparently I'm not supposed to do that. But I do. I do not like coffee. It's got to have some kind of flavor. I can't drink it. So why am I drinking it? Like, energy for me. And I never used to drink anything for the longest time. And there's people I know that don't. And that's one of my goals, is to get back on that track. But right now, let's have a drink. Good morning, Connie. Nice to see you. Just talking about this Bulletproof coffee for a moment. And now we're back to who am I? So again, we grew up with all these people, teaching us about other people. And who teaches you about you? So who am I? And that was a really great question. And I remember even 10 years ago, when life happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I lost my identity as a mom, as someone who worked in the entertainment industry. Good morning, good morning. I, had lost my son. I was no longer a wife. And I had all my identity wrapped up in all of these people. And I was devastated when it all completely fell apart. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know which direction to go. And it has taken me 10 years, and my pastor had called it a Job moment way in the beginning. And at first I was really, really angry with him. I went back and read the Bible, read the book of Job, and I said, I don't believe like Job does. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And now I'm like, I finally get it. Like, yes, it is a Job moment for me anyway. My belief is in God. Whatever your belief is for you, hey, I'm great with all that. I believe whatever I believe in you and your beliefs, and whatever you believe is right for you. And I have no right to judge that. I have no right to argue with you about that. If you're a person that's willing to have a conversation and you can have one without getting into a fight, then that's great. But if you're a person who starts to get into argument about the things that a person doesn't particularly care about, it's not the time to have a conversation. It's one of those walkaway conversations. It's like, you be right, I'll be right. We'll just leave it at that, okay? So that's how that works. So we can change in many, many, many different ways. So I remember 36 years ago, my daughter was just born. And just born. Where does just come from? My daughter was born, and 6 months into her little life on earth, I knew that I did not want to drink anymore. And I decided that I put myself in treatment. My brothers and I actually put my mom in treatment for gambling, and I had gone to family week, and there was this family week that talked about different addictions. Drinking was one of them. And I knew then that I wanted to go into treatment right after my mom got out so that I could go in for alcoholism. As I knew that I didn't want my kids to grow up with an alcoholic mom. I grew up with, my parents were alcoholics, and from Friday to Sunday, and we just saw and heard things that no child should ever have to hear. And so grew up with all these beliefs of, drinking and just mentally abused, verbally abused, physically abused. And I'm like, I'm not living that way. It's not going to happen. So I personally kept running away from home, and I ended up in a detention center. And this detention center was amazing. And I giggled because I just had a flashback of, oh my gosh, the food that they had there was so starchy and so full of carbs that I gained like 50 pounds when I was in there. And I'm like, I already went through a whole bunch of periods of when I gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I used to get really upset with my aunt. My aunt, Connie's on here. She knows what I'm talking about. My aunt was on a diet constantly, and it was this up and down yo-yo. And this is the other thing, you guys. So I thought about this today too. I'm like, okay, this is really ridiculous. I'm up, down, up, down. I know what I got to do. I have the answer. So what I'm saying to you is, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter where you're at in your life, there are people that you can reach out to. There are people that you can even go on Google. You can go on YouTube. Whatever it is that you're hurting about, whatever it is that you're looking for, there's always an answer. There's always a solution. We have technology so much at our fingertips today that if you couldn't find it, there's somebody that has an answer. So do not limit yourself. Who are you? And whose are you? So who are you? So I walked away from drinking. That was my very big first reality check in my life, is that I knew that drinking was not going to serve me and my family. And to change that, I had to stop drinking. So I put myself in treatment for 30 days. It was one of the best decisions of my life. And this mentor was talking about this week, that if you want things to change, then you've got to change your environment. So what if, though, you can't leave your environment? I know I've heard of people like Michael Jordan, all these different football or basketball players. And I was told that too. It's like, you cannot play basketball if you don't know what your position is, right? You've got to know who you are in that position to be able to put the game forward. And it is the same analogy for us in life, right? You've got to know who you are, where you're going. What is your blueprint for that? If you don't know what your blueprint is for that, this is why there's people like me and others that can help get there. So am I in the best place I want to be at the moment? No. You know what though? I'm just like you, that we can do this together. So you can reach out to me, and you can text me, you can message me, you can drop a line below, and you can say, hey, let's chat. All right. So just know that you can do that. Okay. So my probation officer, again, going back to when I was in the detention center, they absolutely loved me. And I kept telling them, you send me home, I'm going to run away again. Do not send me home. So they sent me to a foster home. And when I left to go to the foster home, my probation officer said to me, That's probably the most encouraging thing anybody's ever said to me in my life. Because my parents, my stepdad especially, said, you talk too much, you're just, constantly berating my feet. Is like, always call me Bigfoot. Like, all these just really mean things that he thought were funny. And that's the other thing. You know what? He grew up that way, so he didn't know any different. So when I was going through treatment, I had to go through a lot of forgiveness. Like, we had this really special program that happened, and it was fabulous. And I got rid of a lot of anger. And then I had worked on forgiveness, and that eventually I did forgive my stepdad, because I realized that he was just a very sick individual, and there wasn't anything that he could have did differently, because he didn't know any better. And they definitely did not have the technology back then that we have now. And it was a lot of forgiveness. So you got to work on, you want to figure out and find out whose you are. Forgiveness is one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself, that is out of self-care, self-love. And you say, well, I don't love myself. I don't even like myself. I hate myself. That's not you that's saying that. Those are the voices in your head from other people that have instilled that kind of garbage, into such painful moments and painful memories for you. Let's do away with those. So the first thing to do is forgiveness. So whoever this person was that, said or did these mean, awful things to you, and you don't have to say it to their face. This is just for you only. You can write a letter and write it out. You can record it, whatever that is. Go back, re-listen to it, reread it, and then really give yourself the decision to say, okay, I'm going to let go of this right now, and you're going to let it go. Crinkle up the paper if you have to, throw it down the river, burn it, whatever you have to do, but you got to let it go, because that's what's burning up your insides and just eating you up. And just learn to let that go. And once you start letting go of all these different people and all these voices in your head that keep telling you all these negative things, and you really start feeding yourself with really positive things, you finally begin to realize who you really are. Because really deep down inside, and that voice that's in your head is really who you really are, right? So we got to start getting rid of all of the naysaying things, and you deserve to have a better life than that. And I feel so completely sad for you to know that people in your life were just really evil and really mean, didn't know and didn't have anything different in their lives to do anything different for you. And when you can find a place in your heart to come to the point where you can accept that and forgive that, for they do not know what they do, things will be different. So my mentor also says that, for him anyway, he could no longer be in an environment for him, because he was told by many people in his life that he was a big inspirer, right? And that he could minister. And, he's a black guy, and he's from a really dark side of town. But he knew, he felt it. He felt the life in him. And I loved his story. I loved listening to him. And so he said he could no longer be in an environment, where he was selling drugs or stealing cars and drinking. And he realized that once he started to read books and, so what he wanted to do was minister. So what he did was he started reading books that did that. And he didn't care what other people thought, right? He's decided this is what he wanted. And he wanted to have a family. This was before kids, before a wife, before all these things. So he said, who were you before all that? And that's when he started sharing that he was drinking, stealing cars, doing all these things. And then he made a decision that he really did want to minister. So he started reading the books, and he started going, to places where people ministered, and he started chatting with the ministers. And so these are not these people, whatever your decision is for you, as what I'm saying is, this is who you plug into. This is who you surround yourself with, because birds of a feather do flock together. If you don't believe in the law of attraction, that's okay. I do. So I firmly believed in what he said about this, is that birds of a feather flock together. It's true. If you're stealing cars, you're doing drugs, you're drinking. I worked in an adult entertainment industry for 17 years, and it is a very tight-knit family. That's who I hung out with. That's who I ran with. That's who it was. So when I left that industry and I left everything. And shopping was an addiction for me. And I left all these things, like I said, where was my identity? Who am I? Whose am I? And like I said, it's taken me 10 years, and I really want to save you a whole lot of time to figure out who you are. Like, what is it that you really want to do? Who is it you really want to become? You know, what values, what goals align with you? And this was another great moment too. So sometimes too, I can make my goals so big, and that I have like big expectations that when they don't happen, I'll quit or I shut down, and I'll shut down for days at a time. And all I want to do is sleep. So I'm not driven by my goals because I'm too fearful of how I'm feeling or what other people are going to think about it. And you know what? It's so over, so freaking over. It's like, you know what? Here's what I want to do. I want to travel with my family, and I want to create memories with them. Well, I'm 61, so I am definitely, not getting any younger, but I could live to be 150. Like, there really is such a thing. You can really live to be really old. And I do want to live to be really old, but in the meantime, I want to live a long life. I don't want to die a long life. So things have got to change. And I am not a person either that does very well with, here's a big one, guys. I don't know how you are about habits. I've become so habitual in the last 10 years. And I was never used to be that way. I used to be a big winger, like done things by the seat of my pants. And I still do that quite often. But I definitely know I've got to have some really good habits, at least to have a baseline to really change and to really get into great momentum in the things that you want to have in your life, right? That you want to attract into your life. So birds of a feather do flock together. Law of attraction works. However it works is right for you, right? So I can say, oh gosh, that's just really, really bad. But for you, it may be the right thing at the time. And again, there's no judgment. But you are the only one. So then he was told too, by his family, it's like, you've got to go to college. And he didn't want to go to college to learn all these different things. But the thing about going to college was to create a better vocabulary, right? So if he's going to minister, he's got to do the things that are going to change. And so you got to find a way. So he said that as a shepherd, it was his direct line to, my job as a shepherd is to direct the lost to find the way. And I thought that was so fitting for here, because that's what's happening with it, Shelley Jean, is that I am for the misfits, the misjudged, the misunderstood. And I'm super, super excited, to keep allowing things that I've learned along the way and my experiences to possibly, assist you in any way possible. That's what I want to do for you too. I'd love to inspire people. I'd love to uplift people. Even during times when I've had my darkest days, like I'm very, like, you can see my feelings. Like, I'm one of those people that wear their feelings on their sleeve. I'm very easily readable. And, there was a time when I was on stage for 17 years and people called me Smiley. I love to smile. And even to this day, people don't know, if you don't know my story and I'm smiling, people have no idea what, our family, has been through. But I don't want that to define me. I want it to be a space where my experiences, my life happenings can inspire you to be more, do more, and have more, because you deserve to have that. We don't got to get ourselves out of that headspace of what other people said about us, what other people believed about us. Got to learn that what other people even perceive about us or believe about us is not our business, right? So you've got to find a space that works for you and what your why is. Again, my why is my family. My why is, that's what gets me up in the morning now, is I'm working towards that, taking my family and traveling with them and having those life experiences. And so my grandbaby's gonna get, oh my gosh, we had so much time with Grammy. Like, I absolutely love my Grammy. Like, that's what I want. I want my family to know that I'm there for them. And so who am I? I'm somebody that has, was in the adult entertainment industry for 17 years. I took care of my family then. My family has been everything to me ever since I started having kids. Like, they are my life. They are everything to me. And so working in that industry kept, us in great things. I shopped a lot. They had great clothes. They went to, You know, they all were in all the sports they wanted to be in. They never lacked for anything. And I find that my paycheck to paycheck is like a day of work in my past life. And I said, you know what? There's more to life than this. And so it's driving me to do more, be more, have more too. So I don't think that I know everything, because I don't. I'm just a regular person just like you. And us regular folk have dreams and goals too. And so you just take a dream, take a goal, just one step at a time and one day at a time. And don't allow the expectations of your goals to overwhelm you so much that you quit, because getting to the goal is the goal, right? So if you decide you want to go for a walk today, go for the walk today. You decide you want to go play basketball, go play basketball. Basketball is a great way for a healthy physical goal. And for your mental goal, read something, because that also helps with your spiritual goal, right? So do what feels good for you, and stop allowing other people to judge you, and do what feels right for you. So I know that I got a little winded here, but I just know that I know that you can do, be, and have anything you want to be. And I know that I've allowed myself to hold myself back too, because I really, was devastated when my son died, my husband left, my daughter, miscarried. I had cancer. Like, that pivotal moment 10 years ago was a very painful experience, but these are experiences now that I can share with you, that there is life after all that. There really is, and I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep on going. So hang in there. You can do this, as I know, because I've done it. And one of the things I can honestly say about myself throughout the past 10 years, actually about 13 years, is just keep surrounding myself with really amazing people, keep reading the books. And yeah, I'm going to have really sucky days. Like I said, I'm just a regular person, just like you. And, but through this, we can do it together. All right, everyone. Again, it's Shelly Jean. It's Saturday morning, July 31st. Can you believe it? Tomorrow's August 1st. So where do you want to be in the next 6 months from now? Where do you want to be in the next 7 months from now? Where do you want to be on New Year's Eve? Right? So just take a goal, small ones, one step at a time. Again, one day at a time. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love you and appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you again next Saturday in August at 9 a.m. Central. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye now.